Okay, in this video we're going to go from your pattern color schemes to the full pattern repeat. And I want to show you a couple of the tools that you can use to create different kinds of repeating patterns. In the end, I'd like you to try to create 3 different pattern repeats. You've got 3 or maybe 4 artboards open here, so you can try creating a new repeating pattern on each of your artboards. First thing I'm going to do is save this file under a different name. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and then I'm going to change it from Pattern Color Schemes. I'm going to go to Pattern Repeat. And it's okay to save it as a Illustrator file here. Just pay attention to where you're saving it. In this case, I've got it in the downloads. We're going to export our patterns after we finish. So, okay, I say okay to this. And then I'm deciding which one of these color schemes was the most successful. And I really like the one in the middle where I used the photograph. So I'm going to delete these other color schemes away. And I'm just going to keep the one. I recommend, it works out pretty well if you keep this, you keep your patterns a little bit smaller. Actually, I'm going to do something else here. I'm going to take this color, this is my background color, and I'm going to stretch this out. And I'm going to copy that over here. Make sure it goes all the way across, because you don't want to have any, even if you overlap a little bit over the sides, that's fine. Because in the end, it's just going to crop down to be the one. Okay, so then Option, copy that over. And then I'm going to lock down these backgrounds. So I select them all. I'm going to go Object, Lock Selection. Okay, those are locked down. So now I've got my motifs. I'm going to bring these over. I recommend going a little bit smaller with these. I think that it makes the pattern, you can just see more of the repeat when it's scaled down a little bit. So I'm going a little smaller here. That's about right. Doesn't matter how they're arranged right now because you get to play around with that with the pattern tool. So I'm going to go up to Object, Pattern, Make. It's Object, Pattern, Make. And then I've got some pattern options. So I'm just going to say, okay, this is telling me that a new pattern's been added to the swatches panel. You can see that right over there. And I'm going to say, okay. Well, I don't want just the one, so it must have been that I'm going to cancel that. Let's try this again. I'm going to select those 3. Select all the motifs, and then pattern, make. There we go. All right. So I'm going to say okay, and I can see there's the pattern over there. And now I like for the name, I like to name it. So if I'm going to start off with grid, I could go grid, or you can see that there's these other options here. But I'll do a grid, and then I'll do one of these brick ones, and I'll try one of the hex ones. So I'm going to change the name to grid, and then if I zoom in here, here's the original part of the pattern. So what you want to do now, you can play around with this. You can move and take it beyond the edges of the box, because that's what gives it that seamless look to the pattern there, is that these will often extend beyond. So I'm positioning this, I think about how things are overlapping, right, and move them around and get these elements to where I like how they're positioned here. You can even take a couple and make those, I don't want it behind the mountain. Maybe I'll fit it right there. Okay, and I think I like the way that looks. Again, you can change, you can change the scale, you can rotate these things, and all that's gonna, give it a different kind of look. Guess I like it there for now, so that's good. So when I'm done, I just say done up here at the top. So I say done, and there's my pattern over there. Um, I'm going to move these over because I'm going to create another pattern for the next one. Zooming out a little bit. And coming back to this, I'm going to take the rectangle tool. I'm going to drag a rectangle across this box. And then I'm going to click on the swatch, and it will fill that whole space with the pattern that I just created. That was the first pattern right there. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. So I'm going to take the shapes there again. And I'll go a little smaller too, so you can see, what kind of difference it makes with the pattern. So I went a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to go, again, Object, Pattern, Make. And I say, OK. You can see it's added another pattern over there. But this time I'm going to try one of these other ones. So I'm going to try Brick by Column. And for the name, I'm just going to say Brick Column. And then I'm going to zoom in. And I'm just going to, rearrange things a little bit differently again. Maybe this time I'm going to go this way. You could experiment, see what happens if you go really big with something. So I'm going to go like that. Grab this carabiner clip. Kind of see what it, where it's in front, where it's behind. All right. A little bigger here. Again, what happens when you rotate? You see everything will rotate. Oops. See if I like it there, see if I like it here. You're trying to create some balance in the design. What happens if I go bigger with the mountain, smaller? Kind of like how that looks, so I'm going to say done. And then again, I'm going to move these to my third one because I'm going to try yet one more pattern here. I'm clicking on my second. Nope, I didn't want to fill those with that. Command Z. Go to my rectangle tool, create a pattern across this one, and you can see because I'm set to the second one, right, how that fills it with that pattern. If I did the other one, there was the first pattern, here's my second pattern. And I can think, which one do I like, which one do I like better? And you get a different result each time. So next I'm going to do the hex one. So again, I select the 3, and I kind of liked it a little bit smaller there. I get more of the pattern in. And so I'm going to go up to Object, Pattern, Make. And this time I'm going to try, so I say, okay, right, it's added a third pattern. I'm going to go down to hex by, I think I said brick by column, so I'll do hex by row. And I'm just going to name that hex row. And that looks good. So I'm going to zoom in here. Same thing that I've been doing, just kind of rearranging things. Maybe I'll try going the other way since all of them were going the one direction. Click on the mountain, make that a little bigger. I'm looking how things overlap or sure. I don't want to cover too much of the mountain though. You think about how it covers or hides different parts of the design. There, I'm going to scale that down a little bit. Okay, that's good. On to the axe. Bigger, smaller. And you do have to kind of pay attention to what's overlapping what. Click on the carabiner. See what happens if I go bigger. See what happens if I rotate it. All right, I'm going to go with that positioning. And then I would say, again, say done. It's so easy. So you do have a lot of, you're able to kind of experiment a lot with different things. And, if you want to do more artboards, you should do more artboards and see, what result it produces. This is going to be my third pattern. So there was the hex one. So you can see three that are all, really, really pretty different. Trying to think about which one I like the best. I mean, I think I kind of like the hex one. But if if you want to change something too, you can double click on the pattern, and so I can actually go in now and edit, edit this pattern again. So I can go back in and say, I thought maybe that W, maybe I made it a little too big. I'm going to go a little smaller there. And then I can say, done. And you can see it just changed up the pattern that I had. Again, double click on it. You decide that you want to move something around. Maybe I'll go there. A little bit of overlap. All right, and say done. Okay, I can see what my pattern looks like. So, all right, I think this is looking pretty good. I've tried out a couple different kinds of patterns. I used the tiles, I used the brick by, I think that was column, and then I used the hex by row. So now I'm going to export these, and then they'll be ready for the next part of the project, which is where we actually put these on to some products. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Export As. PNGs is good. Pattern repeat. I'm going to say use the artboards. It's going to do artboards 1 through 3, and then I say export. And pay attention to where it's going to. Maybe I go on the desktop here, so export. Background color, yeah, it could be white, could be black, whatever you end up, or transparent. Doesn't matter if you've got the colors on top. Resolution, I'm going to set it to 300. I'm going to keep it pretty big, and then I'm going to say OK. All right, and now if I'm looking on my desktop, I'll see my patterns over here. Here's how the pattern's exported. Right, so that's it. Very easy, fun tool for making a great repeating pattern.